You know, the feeling hasn't really settled in yet. We're getting the Batman in 2021, Spider-Man 3 in 2021, all within a month from each other. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Spider-Man 3 movie that is yet to be named. I really love some of the titles you guys have been throwing into the comments section. Really funny. Spider-Man Homewrecker, Spider-Man Homework, Spider-Man Back Home, Spider-Man Home Alone, Spider-Man Home Run. Yo, when the title's officially released and if somebody in my comment section has guessed it right, I'll be sure to give it credit that you, sir, can see the future. But what we're going to be talking about today is that now that Spider-Man 3 is gearing to start filming this summer so we can have it ready for us next year, actors are starting to get contacted and let know that they need to be ready for Spider-Man 3, giving us our tease of the first villain that we can expect in this new Spider-Man movie. So I need you guys to let me know down below, what do you think of this Spider-Man villain and what we're going to talk about today, what you hope to see come out of this Spider-Man movie, and also don't forget to leave a like down below. If you don't, you might jinx it and we may never get the perfect Spider-Man trilogy. So the first villain that you can expect that probably won't come to any surprise out of you Marvel Spider-Man fans who've been keeping up with the series, but thanks to the actor Michael Mando, who got on his Twitter and went ahead and teased all us fans a picture of himself and a scorpion emoji. What is with Twitter becoming the official spot to release mind-blowing details about movies? You release the Batsuit on Twitter, you release the Batmobile on Twitter, now we get villains for Spider-Man released on Twitter? As much as Twitter be giving me anxiety, it's the spot for movie news. Now I'm going to be the one to say, because I know there's already someone typing it in the comments, just because he tweeted a photo of him and a scorpion emoji does not mean he's going to return. Bro, that would just be a real dumb tweet to throw out there. Then a picture of yourself with a scorpion emoji? What are you trying to do with your life? It's obviously connected to Spider-Man and him finally showing up and putting on the Scorpion uniform. It better be looking cool, because I gotta say, all the MCU Spider-Man villain costumes so far have been doing justice for me, especially that Mysterio costume. It's just funny to think that this character was being set up at the end of the first Spider-Man movie, and then several years later, the boy is gonna be finally popping up in Spider-Man 3. But it makes a lot of sense, because it seemed like the one thing that was holding this guy back from going after Peter Parker was knowing for a fact that he was Peter Parker. I mean, that was the post-credit scene that we were teased when Matt Gargan and the Vulture ended up in prison together, telling him word is that you know who Spider-Man is, let me know, and the Vulture keeping that information to himself. Now that Spider-Man's identity has gone worldwide, there's really nothing stopping the Scorpion from going after Peter Parker or his loved ones. You know that's going to be a huge factor in Spider-Man 3, the fact that everyone knows his identity and it's putting everyone Peter knows and loves at risk. Who knows if they'll even kick him out of school for having villains show up. Also, I would love the answer to be known why the Avengers don't put Peter in witness protection. But trying not to get too ahead of myself, back to the Scorpion, it's obvious that he will not be the main villain of Spider-Man 3. If he was, there'd be a little bit of a disappointment. Trust me, I love the Scorpion character as much as other people out there, and I'm happy we're finally going to see a live-action interpretation of him. But everything in the Spider-Man movies and in the MCU, Scorpion just does not seem like the villain to hold a whole movie against Spider-Man by himself. He seems like the character that'll be working with the main villain, or will just be the opener of Spider-Man 3, where Spider-Man is doing some missions, Scorpion shows up, they fight for a bit, guy goes back to jail. So it seems like Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3 will be another Spider-Man movie that'll have multiple villains. If you're a Spider-Man fan, that should immediately start worrying you, because when they throw out a bunch of villains in a movie, that's when a Spider-Man universe falls apart. We've had it happen with the infamous Spider-Man 3, we've had it happen with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and now we're about to get it with this Spider-Man 3, but the only difference is Kevin Feige, the man, the myth, the legend with Marvel Studios, is there to hopefully tame things out. They've had so many Marvel movies to practice this multiple villains thing. I mean, just look at the Captain America movies. They seem to always have around 2 to 3 villains per movie. I think they figured out the formula to make it work, and I guess if you want to be technical, Spider-Man Homecoming had multiple villains, where you had the Vulture, 2 Shockers, the Tinkerer, and even the Prowler, even if he wasn't in full villain form, played by Donald Glover. Which, speaking of Donald Glover's The Prowler, if they're bringing things full circle in this Spider-Man movie, are we finally get the full fleshed out Prowler in Spider-Man 3. If you didn't know, Donald Glover's character is technically the live-action version of the Prowler from the animated Spider-Verse movie that we got, the uncle of Miles Morales. To me, it would just be the strangest thing to have that being set up in the background and then you never mention it again, where we're like, we know Miles is out there, so ¿dónde está? But again, even if they get Prowler involved, he will not be main villain material. He's more of a main villain for Miles Morales, not really Peter Parker. And to even narrow it down further, don't expect any other previous villains from other Spider-Man movies to be the main villains. I mean, I wore this shirt for a reason. I want to see my new Green Goblin that is going to be after Peter Parker, but they've made it very clear that in this Spider-Man universe, they want to bring out all new villains that haven't been done before, and that's what they've done in every movie. The name I just keep going back to for the main villain is Kraven the Hunter. He makes the most sense to be the main villain for Spider-Man, especially with the story The Last Hunt. Pair that up, aside from knowing Peter Parker's identity in this Spider-Man universe, he is also a bad guy now because everyone thinks he killed the hero Mysterio. There's a really good dynamic to be had here that Kraven the Hunter sees himself as the good guy of the movie, trying to stop Spider-Man, capture him, and bring him to the authorities, while Spider-Man is just trying to save himself. But sadly, it also looks like Kraven the Hunter might not be the main villain because we know Sony is currently working in the background on developing a solo Kraven the Hunter movie, just like they're doing with the solo Venom movies. It's been a while since we've heard anything new on that solo movie. For all we know, Sony could have given up on it and decided to make him the main villain in Spider-Man 3. But now that this Marvel and Sony deal is coming to a close very soon with only 2 movies left, and we don't know if they're going to extend out the contract any further, Sony could be preparing to have their own universe to cash out Spider-Man as much as they can and instead throw in a different Spider-Man villain so that they can save Kraven for his own solo movie. That way, when Spider-Man finally goes back to Sony, Tom Holland's going to be jumping around from different movie universes. Let me take a trip in Morbius here. Now we're going to go to Venom. Oh, now we're going to go to Kraven the Hunter. I'm really hoping they figure out this thing. But either way, now we are so close to getting a perfect Spider-Man trilogy because I've liked Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man 3, you could be it. Let me know what you guys think down below of the Scorpion being one of the villains included in Spider-Man 3. Who do you think the main villain will be? And can you guess how many villains there will be? I'm guessing up to 3. There can't be more than 3 villains. But maybe they're setting up Sinister 6. You guys go ahead and leave your thoughts down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.